Hey everyone, I'm hoping that the audio isn't so bad on this video, but I am filming it outside. There is a reason for that, but I'll come on to that later. I first want to say thank you for all the massive support that people are giving me. It is really nice to just hear that people are taking things out of my videos. And it's nice, it really does mean a lot to me. It is kind of cold. It's about 6 o'clock now and we're in Britain and there's a lot of wind. And so if you can hear the wind or again the traffic or the birds, I'm sorry, but there is a reason why I'm outside. If this video does completely fail, I will just film it again indoors, but this one's going to be about losing a parent. And I personally lost my dad when I was quite young. I was 3 years old when he died of cancer. And it was probably at the time, not that I remember much of it, very hard for our family because my mum was quite a lot younger than my dad, and when you rely on someone to like bring up your children with you, you don't really want your children to lose a parent, and you don't really want to hear the words, your husband has terminal cancer, he is going to die. And you don't want to have to tell your children that your dad is gonna pass away before you've even reached the age of going to school. Your dad will never see your first day, your dad will never be able to moan at your boyfriend because he picked you up late or he didn't walk you home, or your dad will never be able to see you go to prom or walk you down the aisle when you get married. And there's just so many things that you want your dad to be there for that I can't have my dad there. I have got an issue with people that like say, oh yeah, I wish my dad didn't live with me and stuff, like my dad's a cunt and things. Apologies for the language, but that's just the sort of things that people say. And it really does affect me to hear people say that, because I'm sat here thinking I'd give anything to see my dad again. I'd give anything to have that literal staircase up to heaven to be able to talk to him. But at the end of the day, I do cope with it quite well. I have issues, I have moments where I get upset, I have moments where I literally cry and wish that he would come back because I miss the dad that I never knew. And I suppose it's difficult to miss something that you don't know. You can't remember much of him. The only memories I really have of him are the sick times. And we went to New Zealand to try and get him some treatment for a really long time, and we didn't know if it was going to work or not, and we knew it was going to be terminal no matter what, but to have a little bit of extra time would have been great. It didn't work, which is awful, but I do remember the nice adventures that we had, but I also remember the sick father that I had to see. I remember my mum telling me this story that the reason my dad was dying was because something was growing inside of him. And me, being this small 3-year-old with an imagination, noticed that my dad ate apples all the time. And he used to eat the seeds sometimes, and I thought that my dad was dying because there was an apple tree growing in his stomach. And so I told everyone, there's an apple tree growing in my dad's stomach and so he's gonna die. And as cute and silly as that seems, I was wrong completely. My dad wasn't dying of that. But in the end, yeah, my dad did pass away. And it has now been nearly 14 years. And that is a long time to miss someone for, but I promise you, if you're watching this, having just lost a parent, no matter what age you are, no matter if you're 5, if you're 50, if you're 100, look, but if you're 100 and your parents were still alive, they did really good. But no matter what age you are, it's going to affect you. And you need to just understand that with time, though you won't forget about them, though it won't necessarily be that they just disappear from your memory altogether, it will get easier, and you will cherish the moments you did have a lot more than the ones that you're not going to. Like, yes, I sometimes sit and I get upset because my dad will never be there to walk me down the aisle, and my dad will never be there to talk to my boyfriend and tell him that he's being an idiot, and my dad will never be there to do all sorts of things. My dad never even got to see me go to school for the first time. My dad never got to be proud of me for my GCSE results. My dad never got to be there and witness all of that in my life. Sorry, there was a bus that went past. It made me freak out a little bit. I have like sensory impairment because of my autism. But the reason I'm filming this outside is the fact that the outdoors is the one place where I feel close to my father. And as strange as that may sound, I feel like it works for a lot of people. Being outside, being in kind of the peace of just your own mind, nothing really around to necessarily distract you besides obviously the birds and stuff. But this is the one place that when I really need to sit and have time to think about him, I come to. And it's actually this tree that the camera is propped up on, and it just so happens to be a weeping willow, and it is where I spend a lot of my time when I'm upset. It literally is a Tasha's weeping willow where she weeps, because it's just my place. But I do have memories of my dad in this garden, because my garden is quite large. I come from a family which is quite into old vehicles and stuff, and my dad used to love collecting old vehicles. And the garden is 3.5 acres, which is massive, and so there's sheds and stuff, and there's things that just have not been touched since my dad died. And to wander around those things and just kind of feel his presence, it's humbling but upsetting at the same time. It's like when you go into one of the sheds, there's a workshop and there's a clock, and the clock hasn't moved in ages. And I used to think that my dad had stopped time so that he stayed in that moment to come and stay with us. And as cute as that may seem, I obviously know that my dad is not necessarily watching. I feel like he is. I feel like when you lose someone, you feel like you haven't lost them, but you've just regained them in another way. I feel like my dad lives with me in my heart. I don't think that he left completely. I have little things that I do, like, as crazy as I'm going to sound, to anyone that has lost someone, they will understand me completely. But yeah, I talk to my dad. When I'm having a really rough day, I will sit and I will talk to him. And as strange as it sounds, I will feel like he is speaking back to me. I will feel like I know what my dad would have said in that situation, and I know what he would have said. And so I kind of laugh and I can pretend to have a conversation with someone that isn't there. And to watch that would probably be the most incredible moment you've ever seen. To watch someone who's lost a parent have a conversation with the parent that they lost and actually feel like they're talking to them. And I know I'm going to sound mental right now, but I suppose that's just the way that I learned to deal with it. I didn't think of my dad as a loss because he was still there in my heart. And I feel like that's the most important thing when you're losing someone. You need to remember that they aren't gone. They aren't completely gone. Yes, physically their body is not on this earth. Physically, yeah, they're not here. But mentally, in your head, in your heart, in everyone else's heads and hearts, they will never be gone. Never. And as much as people will try and forget, try and move on in a way of putting it as if it never happened, everyone will always remember them. Especially their friends. I have a lot of issues with people often say to me like, oh, you're so much like your dad, you've grown so much into like a little version of your dad, because me and my dad, obviously, people think we're quite similar. I definitely probably take a lot more after my dad than my mum. But then it upsets me that I don't know the person that I came from. Like, I don't know the person that has influenced all these things in my life, and I can't ask him those questions like, how did you deal with this when you were a child, and oh, so how does this work, and oh yeah, you're gonna have like a same sense of humour as me and we're gonna laugh for ages. Like, I can't have that. And I never really had the relationship with any males really when I was really young, about the ages of 3 or 4. And so I feel like I lost a little bit of my development process in that. But at the end of the day, I am proud to be like my dad, because from what I've heard, from the small snippets that I remember, he sounded like an incredible person. A lot of people that have lost a parent would say that the hardest part is knowing that they're not coming back. And even now, I struggle to say that sentence without tearing up. I find it difficult because obviously the one thing that you want in your life is your parents and your family to be there. I often get upset because I see people in these happy families like wandering down the street like mum, dad, the little kids, and I think, I wish that was me. I wish that was the way I was brought up. I wish that my dad didn't have to be the one that died. I wish that me wasn't the person that had all of this happen to her. But I was. And that is the thing that will make me who I am. I don't feel like if I had lost my dad I would be the same person that I am today. I know that I wouldn't, in fact. I know that a lot of my life would have been easier and I wouldn't have grown from that experience. I wouldn't have had to have matured before my age. I wouldn't have had. I'm back inside now. My phone camera died. That's why the scenery has changed and I'm not wearing my coat anymore. And it's not windy. Yeah. So my camera died at a really awkward moment. And yeah, my video kind of got a little bit messed up. But the things that I've said still kind of matter. There's nothing different about what I've said. In the end, losing a parent is probably one of the hardest things you will ever have to go through. To lose the person that created you, the people that you're meant to look up to and have there by your side all the time. But you have to accept that it's something that's inevitable, it's bound to happen. Your parents aren't going to live forever. And if you're watching this having just lost a parent, they aren't gone. They're not gone forever. They're still in your memories, and at the end of the day, you can't change anything in your life. The only thing that you can change is your attitude. You can't physically change what's going on. You can't change how things are going to happen. That's pretty much just the way that things will be. But you can change the way that you look at it, and you can decide how you're going to approach the next section of your life. You need to look at everything with a positive attitude despite what's happening. I could have been really bitter about my life. I could have been awful and said, oh no, my life is actually disgusting. I'm going to be nasty to everyone and be a bully because why should I help anyone because I have such a crappy life? But I haven't said that because it helps me to help you people, and it helps me to know that maybe even though I've been through a lot, it's easier for someone else because I have, and because I can tell them what to do in those situations. And so though losing my dad was probably the hardest thing that could ever have happened in my life, and at the minute is the hardest thing to deal with, it's made me a better person. It really has. It hasn't stopped me from doing anything. It means that I won't have a dad to walk me down the aisle, sure, but at least I'll have a dad to look down on me and be proud. And hopefully he is right now. Maybe he's actually, strangely, up in heaven listening to my YouTube video. Maybe. There's like little moments like that where you just have to think positively and think, yeah, my dad, he's an angel. I bet your dad is just a builder. Ain't got nothing on me. But yeah, you just have to remember that not everything always has to be a bad thing. I'm not saying that losing my dad is a good thing, but it certainly has made me a stronger and better person. And for all of you out there that are having to cope with the loss of a parent, there's not much I can tell you besides this will make you better. This will be something that you learn to deal with in time, and things will improve. That's pretty much all I have to say on this subject at the minute. If I can think of anything else that might help you, possibly just drop a comment below and I'll talk to you, and maybe we can talk a little bit and help you out. Also, to Becca, I did see your comment about a video on panic attacks. I will get around to that. I just don't really quite know how to approach that situation yet. It is a difficult one, panic attacks, because they affect people in all sorts of ways, a bit like autism. But I will do my best. Anyone else, if you have any video suggestions of things that you may be struggling with, there's a chance that I know. I'm thinking, pre-warning, that next video could be about suicide and depression. This is going to be a very difficult video for me to film. It could involve a lot of tears, and it could involve some aspects of my life that I don't necessarily at the minute feel comfortable with putting out there, but want to on the basis that I feel like it shouldn't be a taboo to talk about it. And so if things like that affect you, or if you're possibly close friends or family that might not want to see that, because I don't want to upset you guys, please don't watch that video. But that's pretty much all for now. Thank you for watching.